Happy New Year's Eve. It is the end of 2022. Wow, what a great year for sports, life in general. Welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden, episode 110, 2022 Sports Year in Review. Let's get it. All right, welcome to again another episode of The Real Deal. Happy New Year's Eve. It is December 31st, 2022, episode 110. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back from the holidays here. Had a great time. I was in Vegas this past week and on Christmas. Me and the wife went on a little vacation, enjoyed ourselves in Vegas. Great weather. I mean, everything was good on the vacation, but I'm back in Philly and rainy Philly here. And I hope everyone is safe. Everyone is having a great holiday season as well and getting ready for this new year, 2023. But we have to recap what happened in 2022. So again, I'm glad to be back in Philly, in the host seat here back home in my studio here. So again, thank you everyone that's tuning in. This is episode 110, Sports Year in Review 2022. I'm live also on Instagram, so I can't shout out to Instagram Live. I can't forget about them. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Roku TV, BS3 TV app there, Facebook Live. Everyone that's tuning in on Facebook as well, the YouTube channel, BS3 YouTube channel, as well, and on my Twitter page and on my Facebook page. I'm all over the place. Spotify, Google Play, wherever you can get podcasts, that's where we are. Google Play, Instagram Live, Apple, Spotify, BS3TVLive.com is the website, BS3Network.com. You can check it out there as well. Shout out to the entire BS3 family. Hope everyone's having a great year, had a great year. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year as well. You can follow the show at Get the Real Deal on Twitter. Also follow me at Courtney110979 on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, CJ Harden _79 on Instagram, and Courtney Harden on Facebook there at The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. If you Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, you could get all the podcasts, all the people, the guests I've had on the show as well. It's been a great year. I'm going to recap the sports year in a minute, but I want to recap the year I've had this year on The Real Deal. I've been on several podcasts and shows. So I can't thank all the ones that reached out and wanted me on their show as well. So many. I can't name them all. I'm just going to shout everybody and everybody that's been a part of this podcast in 2022. Each and every time I have a great guest. And I just want to first start off by saying thank you to the listeners who chimed in, who's commented, who jumped in on the chat, because we have the chat on the Facebook page. We also have the chat on Spreaker, so can't forget about the ones that listen to on Spreaker. That's where it started. Back then, that was the audio version of the podcast before we got into video. On my Instagram Live, everyone that's been on Instagram and then just that commented and gave the likes to the pages or shared the page and shared the content. I can't thank you guys enough, first and foremost. So thank you to all the listeners. That's first and foremost. Okay, I got to thank for the platform of BS3, Ben Sutter himself, the BS3 network. I'm glad to be a part of this. My third year on the network, and it's been such a great journey. It's been such a great time, and I got to thank him as well first, and for giving me the platform. And we've been on Roku for over the last year, which was a big thing for the BS3 network. Just more listeners, just to get your content out. So I got to thank Ben and the entire BS3 network. They motivate me. We got shows for everything. The network does shows for everything from sports and movie reviews and to TV reviews to we have spirituality shows, and we have comedy and a little bit of everything. So just keep tapping into the network. Kids get strong and stronger on Roku, on YouTube, and Spreaker and Spotify and all those things. So shout out to thank you to the BS3 network. Like I said, I want to thank my family, of course. My wife, who continues to push me. She's one of, if not the motivation. She pushes me. She always jokes that she's my manager, and she gets a lot of the credit, a lot of credit for pushing me. And when I don't want to do the show, and she says, you got to stay consistent. You got to stay active on doing these shows and putting out the best product you can, especially want to take this show to the next level, and you want to take this I want to take this show to greater heights and everything too. So I got to shout out my wife, Christina Harden. So again, she's the rock of the show as well, the heart of the show, and she pushes me and motivates me each and every day. So continue for her to give her credit, and thank my family always supporting. And again, the listeners, I can't thank you guys enough from all over the place. Like I said, I get text, and I get comments, and tweets, and DMs and things like that. So, and emails that enjoys the show. Like I can't thank you guys enough. And last but not least, I got to thank my guests. I mean, I've had a slew of guests over the years, and this year was no different. I mean, from different guests. I'm not even gonna. I can't even. I'm just shout out everybody because I had so many over the year. I mean, you think of it. I do the show a couple times a week. Sometimes I have a guest each and every week. Just about a couple of guests each and every week. And even on the Saturday show. So shout out to all the guests. And I still got a lot of people I want on the show. Like I said, I want to jump into some other guests that I've shouted them out on Twitter. So those on Twitter, your name's on that list, and there's others I haven't forgot. So I mean, like Joy Taylor and Taylor Rooks and Nicole Lynn. The list goes on. Even Nicole Lynn, I want her on the show, and Tyler Tambo, he does golf content and DFS content. I want him on the show. I mean, there's so many people I want on the show. So the guest list is out there. So anybody that's on Twitter listening, it's out there. So, and if you're on Instagram listening, that if you want to be a guest, just hit me up. So, but let's get into this show. I'm going to be with you not too much longer. I'm going to just be here maybe for a half hour, but it was a great year in sports. 2022, there was some ups and downs, some retirements. There was the World Cup was here, the championship records was broken. Unfortunately, we had some deaths as well. I mean, I had to go back and write a list, so I had to get the notebook out here and write, because there was so much that happened in the beginning of the year. You forget the first 6-7 months of the year, so much happened. You just, we remember usually the last couple of months of the year, but so much has happened over the year. So I cannot wait to dive into this year in review of 2022. I got a big shout out to my man, the NR Hour Sports Show, Nathan Ramachandra. Check him out and follow him and the NR Hour Sports Show and his. I mean, this guy has a litany of guests all the time. He's such a loyal listener as well. So, but I got to shout him out. So let me jump right in. Like I said, if you have any comments and you want to have your review and some of your biggest stories, hit up the comment section. It's open, and if you got any ones I might have missed, like I said, there's so much that's happened, big storylines that's happened in sports. Check the comments and the also on Instagram as well. So let me get right into it. Year review. Like I said, I got my list here. So there was so much. Well, I'm gonna start from the beginning with one of the biggest stories of 2022, Novak Djokovic. That was like right in January, literally like January. So we know with COVID and the pandemic, and especially the beginning of this year, where there was still restrictions and there was still a lot of COVID restrictions and where travel ban and all these things. So Novak Djokovic, who was the number one player in the world in tennis, was going to defend his title at the Australian Open. At this time in January, he was tied with Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal for they all had 20 Grand Slam major championship heading into this season and heading into the season in the tennis. And Djokovic was on a roll. Like, this guy was like, he had tied them. He was dominating. He was the number one player in the world, the best player in the world. And then, as you know, he's unvaccinated, and certain places, certain countries, and certain places in the United States, you couldn't compete. You couldn't compete in their champion and in their tournaments, things like that. So he's been very vocal that he doesn't want to get vaccinated, and which is his choice and his right. But he tried to go to Australia. This is my opinion. He tried to go to Australia. If you guys didn't forget the story, to recap, he tried to go to Australia and basically said, I have a exemption where I can just come and play. He said he had got from a independent doctor, and he had was on a panel, and he had got an exemption. He had got the paperwork. Well, he didn't file the right paperwork, for one. On top of that, Australia had a ban. Ban for anybody coming into the country unvaccinated. So right there, he already had it. But Djokovic, to me, he was very, very arrogant at that time, super arrogant, and decided that he thought, I could just do whatever I want. I just come in there and do it. So he went there and tried to just be like, yeah, I'm Novak Djokovic. I'm bigger than this. No, you're not bigger than COVID. You're not bigger than Australia. You're not bigger than any of that, anything. No, I don't care who you are, what type of celebrity you are. And he tried to go in there, and then, he got deported and banned for 3 years because he went in there thinking recklessly and thinking I can do whatever I want. I had this paperwork. I'm going to play. So he tried to appeal it. He lost. And he was deported. Like, he was deported from Australia. Like, this was, you can't make this stuff up. This stuff you see in movies. And so he was banned and deported for 3 years. But fast forward to today, he will be competing in the 2023 Australian Open. They are allowing him to come back into the country and compete. So Novak Djokovic, all the things. This was a huge story. And he just thought like he could just, again, do whatever he wanted to. Just go in there and be like, yeah, I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm going to compete, and I'm going to. But it opens up a thing like if you did get an exemption, being unvaccinated at the time in January, that means that everybody else could have got an exemption. But they didn't go off. They just said, you know what? I'll just compete in other tournaments where I can actually, play being unvaccinated. So it's not, he just thought like he was the number one player in the world. He was Novak Djokovic. He was a famous celebrity tennis player, the number one player in the world. It just didn't work out for him. So, and then, yeah, then he made a. So I'm assuming he's humbled himself during this time. And now that he's back, they lifted the ban and he's back. So thank you everyone that's tuning in on Instagram too as well. Can't forget about my Instagram Live. Instagram Live fans out there, and as well, thank you for tuning in. We're going over the top stories of 2022 in sports. So if you got them, put them in the comment, put them in the chat there. So that was a big story here. The next big sports story was Amazon and the NFL Thursday Night Football. That was a huge story. Amazon became the first streaming provider with an exclusive weekly NFL game. So Amazon and NFL combined streaming service, and that's where sports is going, to the streaming service. You got your Peacocks, Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus, and that was big because Apple TV Plus has in Major League Baseball, but now the NFL is with Amazon, Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, broadcasting. So now they're broadcasting games now. The schedule and the games, I should say, haven't been the best. The first week was Chiefs and Chargers was great. So you got to have an Amazon Prime subscription. Now Google's involved. Google YouTube, shout out YouTube TV. I mean, I know I'm on Roku, but I have YouTube TV as my cable provider. So they've acquired the Sunday Ticket. So yeah, a lot of things Netflix might be getting involved in the sports. I've been reading about that. So yeah, Amazon had a good year. Even though the games haven't been great, but they signed a 10-year deal with the NFL, streaming, and it looks. I mean, the quality is amazing. I mean, the TV quality is amazing. I think the broadcast with Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, you can't go wrong with them as well as the broadcasting team. Kirk Herbstreit went from college football and now doing NFL games as well. On top of that. So that was huge. And again, Google, YouTube have acquired Sunday Ticket. So it's going to be interesting to see what the NBA does. I think they got their eyes on how the NFL and Amazon, do they go to Amazon for streaming, or are they going to go somewhere else? Maybe they go to YouTube and Google. So the NBA TV right deal is coming up in a couple of years. So I've been interested. I think they got their eyes on Adam Silver's got his eyes on that. So that was big. And just the transition from with Amazon, Al Michaels broadcasting the NFL, especially the NFL, getting big money. Some of the broadcasters got some big money, and then there was so many moving parts. Like I said, Al Michaels goes from NBC to Amazon. Kirk Herbstreit goes with him. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, they go from Fox to ESPN Monday Night Football. You still got Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on CBS. Mike Tirico, he moves up, takes Al Michaels' spot on NBC. I mean, there was so many. Greg Olsen, number one, and even Tom Brady got a big contract when he retires, whenever that is, when he retires. So a lot of big parts, a lot of big names in broadcasting shuffled and moved. You got big deals. I'm talking 10 million plus contracts, and big. I mean, that was big. I don't know if we're going to see anything like that again. And that was just all NFL of broadcast. So that was a big story. What else? I mean, I got so many. There's so many. Like I said, let me know what you guys think. Aaron Judge, the New York Yankees, the home run chase. That was another of some of the biggest stories in 2022. He had the home run chase, 62 home runs, beating the American League record. The eyes were on that. That was helped by Roger Maris. So he, smashing 62 home runs. That was, something that was to look at. Live Golf. Golf's biggest names like Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau left the PGA Tour to join the startup league. That pitted a war against the PGA, and that was huge. And it was like Live Golf was, and they're here to stay. And then now they're trying to get the TV rights, but they're only on aired on like Facebook and YouTube, but they're trying to get a TV deal. Can they do it in 2023? Possibly. They possibly could get a TV deal in 2023. So, and then, but the biggest story of that, the biggest thing on that, will Live Golf being a thorn in the PGA side, and they was just against each other, and they was just throwing out so much money, so much bonus money, so much, just a lot of money. I'm talking like millions of dollars. That's why a lot of people on the tour left. The PGA Tour left to go to them because it was like guaranteed money of millions of dollars. Like, I had read that they offered Tiger Woods like a crazy amount of money. I'm talking like almost in the billions. Like the last I read, I think it was like 800 million or something like that. That is crazy. That is like ridiculous money. And he turned it down. He didn't want anything to do with. He didn't want anything to do with Live because he didn't like the direction. He didn't like Greg Norman and how he was, interfering with with the PGA, but it's like two leagues against each other now, and the thing is, it pitted a war, and it's Saudi Arabia money, Saudi government due to human rights abuses, and I think that's where that got lost. But other, these Phil Mickelson and DJ and Koepka, guys like that, they just took the money because it was guaranteed money, bonus money, and they're getting so much. I mean, these guys were signing $100 million deals. So what the PGA did was they decided they're going to just raise their prize money up so they could keep some of these guys. So Roy McIlroy and Jordan Spieth and Tiger Woods and, some of the other big names, Tony Finau, they're staying with the PGA, and they're thinking we just have to continue to be more active and be more vocal and help out the PGA with just so that Live can't take any more of their golfers. So they come together. There's still a lot of big names. I mean, the PGA is still they're fine. There's still a lot of big names on the PGA Tour, so they're not hurting. But to lose some of these big names did put a dent, and it just had everyone talking. So I want to see how this transpires now, because Live seemed like it's here to stay. So that was a big story. I got quite a few more, so glad everyone keep tuning in. Some of the all-time greats, and I have some of those in the background here. That one of them in the background, that retirements was a big thing in 2022 in sports this year. Some of the big names. Look at these names. I mean, Serena Williams behind me, the GOAT, retired. What a buzz that was, and that was huge. And she came in the U.S. Open and right before the U.S. Open and announced her retirement. She didn't use the word retirement. I forgot the word she used, but basically taking a break. Like, I'm evolving. I'm just stepping away. But then now there's rumors that she might be coming back. But she retired, and if you go back and watch what happened on that, in the U.S. Open, and just the viewers, oh my goodness, it was huge. Big shout out to Facebook users. I want to visit the NR Alex. Says hello, everyone. If that's you, tell me some of your biggest stories of 2022. Love to hear it. So thank you for tuning in. Put it in the comments, put it in the chat. But other all-time greats, and Serena's one of the greatest athletes of all time. Let's not even kid ourselves. I mean, this woman has dominated the sport of tennis and on and off the court, and what she meant for tennis as well. Roger Federer, also another big name, one of the greatest of all time, athletes of all time, announced his retirement. Injuries did him in. Announced his retirement because of the injuries, and just trying to make a comeback, and it just wasn't working. I mean, the recovery and all that. So we had Sue Bird, WNBA legend, all-star. She retired as well. Tom Brady retired, unretired. He retired for like a month and a half. And to go back with Tom Brady, and he now has a broadcasting deal with Fox to be in the booth, the number one, to be the number one team in the booth, signed a $375 million deal for 10 years. So he's going to be getting $37.5 million. So again, that was a moving part of the media, sports media, and sports broadcasting in football. This guy's got it, but he retired for like a month and a half, and he's been going through a lot of personal things and going through a divorce and things like that. So he's got a lot going on. So he retired, went back to playing football. They're not having a great season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers not having a great season. So that's probably what he definitely didn't sign up for this. But whenever he retires, but he did retire for about a month and everything. You got Gronk again. Rob Gronkowski retired as well. Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski of Duke. I mean, when you hear Duke and Coach K, that's like coaching royalty there. So Coach K and Duke, and they made a great run in the NCAA tournament this past season, and got to the. Did they make the 4 or the 8? I think they made the 8. No, I think they were Final Four. They were Final 14. So Coach K they lost to North Carolina. So yeah, that was big. That was a big. I mean, there's a rivalry of North Carolina. Coach K, you couldn't make that up in Coach K's last year. So Coach K and Allison Felix, the track and field superstar, also retired as well. So just some of those some of the biggest names that are in retirements now. And now that the NR Hour he's on. Tell me some of your. He's in the comments as well. Tell me some of your biggest stories. He's happy New Year to you. Yes, on Instagram Live. Let me know some of your biggest stories in 2022, and I'll announce on the air some of your biggest sports stories year in review. Let me know what some of your names. And I know Aaron Judge, you're a Yankee fan, so Aaron Judge was one of yours. But I'm gonna keep going with some of these names, some of these big stories. We had Deshaun Watson, another big name that was in the news as well. His return from being suspended for 11 games and of allegations of sexual assault from multiple massage therapists. But then he got paid the largest and most guaranteed contract in NFL history. So that was a big story in sports this year as well. We just had the World Cup. Great ratings for that. Lionel Messi won his first World Cup also. And big story is Pele. When you think of soccer, you think of Pele. That's the name who just recently passed away. So rest in peace and condolences to him and his family, to his family as well. But Pele passed away a few days ago with health complications. But so yeah, we had the World Cup, and then the greatest of all time, and Pele passed away too. That's that was heartbreaking news as well. Let's see. We got a comment here. Hello, everyone. Lloyd Phillips Jr. continue to march and strong in entrepreneurship. The biggest moment of 22 as of right now, seeing the rocket Artemis 1 continue to go strong. ISS to answer your question. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that comment. Yes. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in as well. So yeah, and then Messi, and then like I said, the World Cup was a lot of viewership there. As well as like Messi finally got his first World Cup. The LA Rams won the Super Bowl with Cincinnati Bengals. That was earlier this year. The NR Hour says here on Instagram, reporting on the Carlos Rondon deal and T.Y. Hilton to the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, you had a big year, man. Let me know some of your biggest guests that you had too, and the Yankees. You covered a lot of different events, things like that. Let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it. But yeah, the LA Rams winning the Super Bowl was another big story. That was in February. Super Bowl. Messi. Yep. The NR Hour says Messi is one of the GOATs, wins his first World Cup. The Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship again for the fourth time over the last 9 years, 10 years. So, and then Steph Curry I mean, what else can we say? That he's in the background, one of my favorite players, just more cemented his legacy, which was already cemented, but cemented his legacy. One of the greatest players in NBA history, won a Finals MVP, won his first Finals MVP, and just keeps catapulting himself on that top list. There's been arguments of him reaching the top 10. Did he make the top 10? Is he in the top 15? To me, Curry's just in that list of all-time greats. So he got his fourth ring, fourth championship. He also, like I said, won the Finals MVP. He's a two-time MVP, regular season MVP. You just can't say enough. He's the all-time. He broke the record this year also as the greatest three-point shooter, greatest shooter of all time. So he broke that record as well, surpassing Ray Allen. So I mean, the list goes on and on. He just keeps adding to his legacy. So Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors, winning the winning the NBA championship for the fourth time as well. Another comment here. How do you feel about the XFL Football League? That's a good question. It's funny because the XFL hasn't really, this is the third time that they're trying it again. And I know The Rock is a big part of that. Dwayne Johnson's a big part of it. I mean, it'd be something to watch with the XFL. I think I'm not always very excited about it, but it's just it's something to watch over the summer, and there's nothing on. So that's how I feel about the XFL. But that is coming back. I think I don't know if it's next year, 2023. I believe so. It's either 2023 or 2024. But I know it's definitely coming, and I know it might be different. I know Vince McMahon was running it for WWE in the beginning before, and if it's quality football, I'm for it. But if it's not, it's just an entertaining thing to watch during the summer when there's no football, when the NFL is in off season. So something to watch. I know the USFL is coming back on in April. That was a success last year, so that's coming back on. So yeah, the XFL, USFL, football, something like that, something to watch. So, but good question. I appreciate that. That's coming up. More comments in Instagram Live. Keep them coming to the NR Sports Show. He says we had the Santana Moss on the show recently. Yeah. Yep, you had a lot of great guests. We're working on some other big things also for the NRR Sports Show. Let me know some of the guests that you would love to have on your show. A few guests that you love to have on your show. I think we're still in the same boat, just trying to get some big names and just continue to grow our platform or our podcast. So yeah, but that's how I feel about Excel. Great question, though. I really appreciate it. Got a few more before I let you guys go, and then you guys enjoy the rest of the day, New Year's Eve. Got to go into track and field. But that was huge. We had the World Cup, the World Championship, and Sydney McLaughlin. I mean, what she has. I can't even say like how dominant she's been. Anybody knows that name, Sydney McLaughlin, just like world champion in the 400-meter hurdles, record holder. She continued to beat her record. She beat her record in U.S. trials. She beat her record in the Olympics. She continued to just dominate and beat her record. But now she's the record. Her time was 50.68. She was the first woman to go under 51 seconds. Let me repeat that: 50.68. I really enjoy watching Sydney McLaughlin and what she's now has meant. And she's only 23 years old. That's the thing. And now she's thinking about transitioning just to the 400. And she said there's good more to be done. Can we say 50 flat? Like under 50? You would never even thought of that in track and field or in the hurdles, 400-meter hurdles. So she continues to cement her legacy and her trajectory and everything too. So it's amazing of what she's accomplished in such her young career. I just remember her just running as a 16, 17-year-old in the Olympics 5 years ago now. And what she's accomplished now, just continue to progress and beat her record after record after record. It's amazing. Like I said, we talked about Allison Felix and the legacy she's has and done like that. And Glocken's following that same footsteps. So I got to give her a shout out. This is at the World's Championship. I'm a big track and field, big Olympics person. We had the Winter Olympics. That was big. So I'm setting my clock. I'm setting my clock for Africa time, 5:50 p.m. Starting my countdown. Happy New Year's to everyone. Remember, everyone, you can do it. You can do it, and you can make your goals happen. I believe in you. Too. Happy New Year's to everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate you jumping in and commenting. Really, really do. Really, really. I always love the comments. I love the listeners and viewers. I can't appreciate you enough. But let me go back to. Like I said, I got a couple more stories. Noah Lyles also track and field, 200 meters, American record, 19.31, beating legendary. When you say track and field, Michael Johnson's name, Noah Lyles, that run in the 200 as well was amazing in the World Championship track and field, which is, I mean, this guy he was locked in, he was focused, and then he wanted to beat the world record, which is by Usain Bolt, 1919, but he said I can settle. He said settle for the American record. So we'll see what big things for him, Sidney McLaughlin and others. USA track and field is now, after having a disappointing Olympics, has come back in a big way. So looking forward to see what happens in 2023, the World's 2023 as well. And the last couple of stories, we lost another legend. Again, we said Pele, but I want to send my condolences and Bill Russell as well. He passed away earlier this year. 11-time NBA champion. He passed away at the age of 88. And all-time legend, NBA legend, superstar, one of the top 10 players, top 5 players, and most winning. He's the most winningest player in NBA history. So got to give a shout out, or send my condolences to his family. I mean, Bill Russell, like the Finals MVP is named after Bill Russell. So the Bill Russell Award. So this guy was just a legend. He's an 11-time NBA champion and multiple All-Star, and so many. Like I said, one of the greatest players of all time, top 5, top 10, whatever list you put, he's got to be in it. Top 10 at the least. So, but the last story I thought was the most important, most talked about top story of 2022 in sports was Brittney Griner, the WNBA champion and star of the Phoenix Mercury, was arrested in Russia in February for carrying cannabis oil and cartridges, sentenced to 10 years. And this made headlines. It was all over. It wasn't on sports shows. It was on, CNN to, magazines and the news outlets from Fox News and others was reporting this daily. So this was bigger than sports. And for her to be sentenced 10 years in Russia for having that small amount of, cannabis oil, just makes you it was a she was used as a political pawn for Russia. To sentence her 10 years, it was crazy. And then the outpour of support by the WNBA community, the NBA community, other sports that were, wanting her to come home. It's just like, this is ridiculous. And I think a story that gets lost in all of this, and she was released after being in 10 months, finally released in a trade with Victor Bout, Russian arms dealer. So there was a lot of back and forth with this, and President Biden, and they're saying that why would you trade an arms dealer for a WNBA player? So again, we're talking politics and sports, social things going on in between this. But with the Brittney Griner story, and that being to me, the biggest story and one of the biggest headlines of 2022 in sports, is that with Brittany, with the whole Brittany Griner thing, I think that gets lost in all of this. And I'm glad she's home. I'm glad that she was able to come home and to get out of there. Uh, but one of the biggest things that people were asking, well, what was she doing over there? She's a WNBA superstar. She's an athlete that's making a lot of money. They're not, and I think that's what got lost. That these women that are playing, they play for about 5 months. They play from May to August, September. So they played 4 or 5 months for WNBA. But then after that, they're not making any money unless they have endorsements and things like that. They're not making any money. So that's why they play overseas. That's why they play in all of these different countries, Russia and China and others. They go to these European countries and they go and try to make a living because they're not getting paid. That's a whole nother topic, but they're not getting paid as much as the NBA players are. They're not making multi-million-dollar. They don't have multi-million-dollar deals. So they got to make a living. So they're getting decent money over there, overseas. So it just says to you that they have to be able to make a living. Now the WNBA and they're doing a little bit better with the contracts and making getting more money to these athletes and to these players, but it's still not what the NBA is making, not what players in the NBA is making. So that's why they have to go over there and they have to they have to play and stay active and stay ready and all these things. So that's why Brittany Griner went over to Russia, and it's unfortunate that she got caught with what she got caught with. It's unfortunate of that. But 10 years for that little bit of an amount. That's where I was really upset, and others was upset. But man, the outpouring support from on the internet, on social media, and like I said, the WNBA, they came together. I look forward to seeing what 2023. But like I said, I'm glad. I'm like ecstatic that Brittany Griner is back home, and she's doing her family, and so she can definitely get her mind, because that definitely messed up her mind. I'm sure it messed up her, her focus and her mental. We got to look after her mental, her physical, and all that, and then we worry about what's next for her for basketball. So the in our hour again, say we working on some big things also. So, yeah, me too, man. I'm looking forward to see what you got coming up in 2023. But yeah, like we make sure her mental is right after being over there for 10 months. We don't know what happened over there in Russia, but yeah, this was a political pawn, and it was just unfortunate she got caught in the middle of it. But again, like I'm glad, like I said, she's back home with her family, with her wife, and the support that she got was tremendous there. But that was those were the biggest stories to me, of the top stories of in sports 2022. Again, there was so much happening. I'm sure I missed some, but these are the ones that I felt like were very, very, very important, and just the top stories of the year. So again, thank you everyone for such a tremendous year of 2022. Thank you everyone that has tuned in each and every week. I can't thank you enough, the viewers, the listeners, everyone that follows me on social media, everyone that follows the BS3 network on all social media, and the website, and just social media and podcast platforms, like I said, Roku and Spreaker and Anchor and Spotify, Google, Apple, everywhere. Like I said, I this is the end of the year. This is the year recap. Looking forward to 2023. Thank you for everybody that tuned in on Instagram Live today, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Roku TV, BS3 TV. Download that BS3 TV. You could get, like I said, get the entire BS3 network there. BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 TV app on Roku. You get it on your Roku device, Roku channel, Roku TV, whatever it is. Download Roku. That's where you can get all the shows there, including The Real Deal. Continue to follow The Real Deal at Get The Real Deal on all social media platforms. Courtney Harden, wherever, just download just like I said, Google me and Dominic McNabb. Google me the Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Yeah, Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden again. Thank you, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. And that's a wrap for the year in review. Looking forward to 2023. I got shows next week starting right on January 2nd. So be on the lookout for 2023. We getting it popping. We getting it. The show is getting to bigger and new heights in 2023. So be on the lookout for all the guests. I got a already guest list for January already. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Be safe. If you're going out to have a good time, everyone continue to be safe. Do not drink and drive. I mean, I think that's just the best thing, not to drink and drive. You're going to have a good time. Drink a little bit. Just be safe. Get home safely. Take an Uber, take a cab. There's no excuse where you can't get a ride. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's a lot of different things out there to get you home safe. But again, Happy New Year. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I hope everyone enjoys. And look forward to 2023. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Always. Peace. And God bless.